call the Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting to order. Be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham, supported by Walls. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to our first opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Last chance for public comment. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Takes us to committee items. Be looking for a motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham, supported by Walls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to appointments. We have the Community Corrections Advisory Board, Public Seat, Business Community. The new term expires, and it says indefinitely. Current members, Matt Dame. We do not have an applicant. I would encourage committee members to reach out to the business community and see if we can get an applicant. Takes us to item C, Sheriff Architecture. And nobody's here from the sheriff's office?
I suppose I could entertain questions, and we can always come back around to the sheriff if you want to push him back, or you want to go to the next one,
Well, the next one's the millage.
or do you want to
If you want to,
prove to go forward?
you want to approve.
You have questions on it?
So I'd like to visit it.
Are all the committee members comfortable moving on past the sheriff's items and coming back at the end of the meeting?
I definitely am.
Okay. Yes.
Ray is down at the coffee shop.
Tony, are you okay with that? And here, well, here they are, speaking of it. You're up.
Almost canceled the jail out, Sheriff.
Architecture.
Good morning.
Morning, good morning.
I'm sorry,
You're on item architecture first.
architecture first.
Yeah, Sheriff Architecture.
Oh,
Bill has, you want him to present first, or?
I don't know what you can ask.
Thank you, Chair Kennedy. Yeah, Sheriff, I support the concept of the jail, but I'm uncomfortable right now with the process. I don't know if we do have a true cost of building the jail, because we really haven't bid it out yet. I don't want to pass a 1 mil and shortchange you on operational monies. So I'm uncomfortable with that. I don't know, do we have a not to exceed price so we know you're getting your operational money? Do we know how much we really need to put the bond out there for?
I appreciate-
What the bond is going to bring in to you?
I don't, that's probably a better question for the administrator to answer, sir.
Sure. The next item, Phil, Sheriff Jail Millage, on that one, we have the cash flow and the jail operation budget showing out for 20 years, and I'd be happy to address that. I can move to there now if you'd like, or I can wait a couple minutes.
Well, I don't have any questions on the jail per se itself.
Okay.
I'm sold on the project,
Then
and
we
I
just
know
need
we
to talk
need it.
about the money. Okay, then.
Yeah,
then
well, we can't approve building the
Question
jail
is-
if we don't know,
There's questions for me.
if we don't know we can have the funds to do it. Or
So,
what I'm afraid of, Sheriff, is we've had Rick Shealy come in with projects. He said, I bid it out, and it was way up here. I was shocked. And that's the economic environment we're living in today. and I know it's supposed to be 51 million and some change. What do we do if it comes at 75 million? We just approved a bond that won't cover the jail bond payment, and you don't have any operational money. We'll be in a bind. I know you need it. I want it, because we're gonna pay it one way or the other sooner or later. So I'm concerned about,
Well, Commissioner Duckham, your concerns are going to be addressed on item D. So if we
well,
could,
how can we vote for,
this is just the architecture plan. This isn't about the monies.
okay,
The next item is about the language on the millage, and
my view.
Administrator Overton's going to go
Okay, as long
through
as
the
we address
breakdown.
that, because we may have to shorten the jail up.
I can tell you,
Okay,
Phil,
I'm
just on the architectural plan, we've gone through it, I've gone through it at least twice with the sheriff, with the architect, and there is, you correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but 18% of that is contingency. So when we say it's 51 and change, it's really 18% less than that, and we are setting aside 18%. I know 10% of that was straight up just inflation we think is going to be
Right.
there. So we are trying to do what we can to account for the potential for additional costs.
Okay, I just,
There's no perfect world where we can predict it.
okay, I'm good.
Okay. If there's no other questions from committee members, I'd be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board.
So moved.
Moved by Bear, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. That takes us to item D, Sheriff Jail Millage.
Let's see, probably, where do I start on this thing? Fundamentally, we are looking for $50 million is what we're thinking. I know it's more than 50 million, but we are thinking probably upwards of like 3 million from ARPA. So that'll be money we won't seek. So we're looking for 50 million, and that gives us some flexibility in there. We were looking at remember we were going back and forth, a 20 or 30 year bond. Being that it's an operational bond as well as construction, it really needs to be 20 years. You cannot do operations, we've learned, for 30 years. You can do construction for 30 years, but not operations. And we really want to avoid having two bonds, one for construction, one for operations. So we're just going to go with the 20 years. We did the cash flow analysis to see that we could get there, and I would direct you to that. Let me pull it up here. 20-year, well, first let's look at the, hang on here, there's a lot of, I'm pulling up everything here. So when you, if you look at the cash flow there, so there's 5 page, well, it shows up on this as 5. It's really a spreadsheet when you're looking at it in a larger piece of paper. And you can see the first year we collect, we don't have the debt service because we're actually in construction that year. And then in year 2, we make our first bond payment there of 3.7, almost 3.8 million annually for 20 years. 3.77 is what it is. And you subtract out your operating. So we're looking at roughly 2.1 million additional for operating, and then what we have left over there, like on that first year, you'll see, it shows the carryover, and that's at the very top. So we start carrying over the bond cash flow. And then over the years, that dwindles down to almost nothing. But the other financial we want to look at is the operating budget. Where is that on here? I've got too many open now. Hang on. Is it the last one?
Mike, your jail operations for 20-year millage is what's giving us the $5,160,000 for the first year.
Commissioner Bear, put your mic on, please. Is it on?
file that the numbers that you were just quoting of the $5,160,000 for the first year, that's under a document titled Jail-Operations for 20-year millage support.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I have that there. There was 1 and 2 is what there was. In the spreadsheet, it's just different tabs, but we had to break it down on here as like 1 and 2 and such. The one I'm looking at now is jail operations with 20-year millage support. And you'll see it's the one that shows the wages, benefits, cost of operating expenses, all those sort of things. When you look at that one.
Well, the first file was,
First one was
20 years, was $115 million for operations.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us $115 million
Over
to
20
operate
years.
that for 20 years?
Yeah. We spend now about, $7 million a year on jail operations. So, yeah, that's easy.
Now, where's your millage proposal for the construction?
It's right here. Go to the millage where it says 1 through 20 years. That's what I was just speaking about. Talks about the 20 years, shows the cash flow, shows how much we're going to receive annually from the mills, which is I don't have it up now. I pulled up the other slide. 5.16? Thank you. 5.16 million. And then you take that and put it into, see, general fund supports jail and the sheriff's operation. It's a general fund budget. This does not replace that. The general fund is still going to have to contribute millions annually to this. If you look at the next spreadsheet where it says, look at the one when you pop it up, it should say operating revenues. So what we have there, literally it shows, those are the revenues that the sheriff's, that the sheriff's jail, the jail, generates through commissary and other means in there. And then you look at the wage, otherwise they don't have revenues. The revenues is transfer in from general fund. Then you look at the wages. So we take the wages, we use an assumption of, dare I say it, 3% a year, but you got to assume something. So I figure historically when I look at it, that's where we think that's where historically it kind of is. Same thing with benefits. We looked at benefits and applied 3% assumption out through there. That's total benefits. I know health insurance is up and down, but generally, in fact, I don't think I've ever seen 3% health insurance increase. It's always way more than that. And then on the other operating costs, we use 1% assumption, which historically has been where it's been as far as increases. We did add in some a transport, more staff for transporting, as well as a van purchase too. To just throw that in there since we're going to need that. We anticipate more of that. But when you run through that spreadsheet, you can see how every year it shows how much we're paying for the bill or for the jail operations and how it works out with the millage debt service throughout the whole year, throughout 20 years, I might add.
Why does it vary every year?
It varies due to some capital expenditures and things like that. Some years there's more than others. In fact, like when we buy the van, we're not going to buy another one the following year. That kind of thing. There's some variability in there. We tried to account for everything we could think of using our historical data as well as what we believe the new jail is going to require for the next 20 years, the length of the debt service.
Mike, we have I don't have a page number here, but it's right under year 1. It says reference, use, this thing's hard to follow. Reference only, use in cash flow. It says here a millage is going to bring in 5.160 million.
Yeah?
Now, you just said 4.5, didn't you?
No, that 4.5 what?
Million. What's this millage going to bring in a year?
5.16.
And what's left over after our other obligations? Our debt service?
We'll use it all.
Well, some of it goes to DDAs or business
Oh, that's
Tax-
we already took all that out. This is the 5.16
So 1 mil will bring in 5.16 a year.
to the county. It's what? Yeah, that's the net for the county. We've already subtracted out the DDAs, LDFAs.
You and I had talked,
Brownfields.
and you said by the time we got through with our obligations, we'd have about 3.7 left.
No, not 3.7. I was thinking more like 4.7, 4.7, 4.8. Some of those obligations have dropped off. So,
We were never notified of that.
well, no, but it's right here in black and white. I didn't know of it either, frankly. But what counts is what's in black and white in front of you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Snell's been waiting patiently.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, and I wanted to talk about the architecture. We're not approving any plan at this time. We're just, this is a possible, and I'm thinking that after the millage, then we will start looking for designs that we will approve that'll be within the budget. Okay, thank you. So it came to my attention this week that, actually this weekend, that Department of Corrections is talking about mothballing the cotton facility. They can't get employees. And a couple people have called me and asked me if that would be a possibility. And I said, I don't think so, but I certainly wanted to bring it to administration's attention. I don't know much about cotton, never been there, never wanted to be there. So, and the last thing I had,
Well, Commissioner Snell, just so you know, there's another closed facility over there at Department of Corrections, and the sheriff looked into it. Unfortunately, they're not interested in allowing that to occur.
and I know that, but I was asked to bring that to the attention of the
I
board.
may. Upon receiving information from Commissioner Snell and a former county commissioner, I spent the day yesterday, a couple of hours, speaking to Representative Alexander's office, and she is going to further explore it. We're still going to need, if we end up with that opportunity, we're still going to need to either lease or buy that property. So we're going to need this millage. We now know what it takes us to build a facility to correctly house Jackson County's bad guys for the next 30 to 50 years, and that's what our goal is here, is to get a millage in place, is what we're doing. Now, if it's rent cotton facility for 30 years, then we rent cotton facility for 30 years. If it's build a jail, it's build a jail. But either way, we're going to need this millage, and we're going to need that to follow through on it. Unfortunately, my concern with a lease with the state of Michigan is that, as we learned with the incinerator, when we lease property from them, and they decide they want the property back, they throw us out. So now where are we going to go and house prisoners if we don't have the correct jail facility built that we own? I think a jail facility is a little different than leasing office space or operating out of a leasehold operation or a triple net operation than it is the short-term possible savings. It could really end up costing us a lot of money at the county, and I think we need to really think about our own capital expenditure in building this facility correctly now. That's my thought on the cotton facility. If they're willing to sell it to us outright and we're going to own it, that's a different story, but we're still going to need a 20-year mortgage to be able to pay for that facility, and you're going to have to bring it up to current standards. The reason why they're moving away from stuff like that is that it's antiquated. That's where the difficulties come in. We have a building right now that's antiquated. You had to lock people up, but it's not where we want to house people or staff. So I think we really need to be cognizant of all those facts when it comes to the possibility of the cotton facility.
Okay, Commissioner Snell, did you have any more?
I did have one more thing.
Okay.
Obviously, when there's a millage, the DDAs and LDFAs can opt to receive that money instead of allowing the jail or the county to get that money. I know that when I was on the DDA and LDFA, when people came to us and said, please don't take our money, we really need it for our project, we would sometimes sign off and allow the millage to be to go where it needs to go. So I'm sure we'll be doing that too.
Yep, as the administrator noted, the DDA money's already been subtracted out in the numbers that we were looking at, so that's protected.
So if they
Right,
give us
and
any
if it's
more, that's
not-
gravy, or icing, I should
Yeah,
say.
what's that?
I like 'em.
So, and if it's not taken out, it's just better for us.
Yeah, exactly, yep.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Bear.
I know we're going to look at this again at the board meeting. I would like some of these attached documents to be updated to make them clearer. When I look at the two different files that come up here, I can't tell which one's construction, which one's operation. They're poorly titled, and it's questionable which one you're looking at. So I'd like that corrected so I can understand this before the board meeting. The ballot language, I think needs a lot of changes. The purpose, millage question, for the purpose of constructing, equipping, and financing an addition to the county jail and a new sheriff's office. Two elements. Equipment for a jail addition. I don't think we're building a jail addition. I think we're building a brand new building. So the language in this ballot proposal is poor. It doesn't reflect what we're really doing. Because there's read it yourselves, there's two items. An addition to the county jail and a new sheriff's office. There's nothing in here about constructing a new jail out on Chanter Road. The years for it, the last part of the first paragraph, for a period of 20 years from 2022, we've already paid our millage, the existing millage for, I'm sorry, I'll wait till you're done.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I'll interrupt you, I'll wait for you till you're done. Okay, appeared you were in a different conversation. The existing millage for 2022 has already been assessed. So this millage isn't going to be for years 2022. It's going to be for millage for years 2023, and it will extend to year 2042, not 2041. So the dates for this,
It's not right.
I do not believe are correct. Second paragraph, if approved and levied in accordance with state law, a portion of the millage may be distributed to downtown development authorities of the city of Jackson, the village of Grass Lake and Springport, and the townships of Blackman and Leone, local development finance authorities of the village of Parma, the township of Blackman, and the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority of the city of Jackson. It says we may do that. How can we avoid that? If we're asking for a jail millage and we want the citizens to pay for a jail, we're not really asking them to fund all these other authorities. We're just saying, oh, by the way, after you approve the jail, maybe we'll take these other monies out of it. So where it says may, I want to explore those options. How can we not do that? I just don't think all those other agencies deserve jail millage money. So that's a question I would like answered before well, if it can't be answered today, answered before the board meeting. So I think the millage language is not ready to go.
Okay, Chairman Shotwell.
Commissioner Bear, we just answered that question with Ray Snell's question, number one, and Commissioner Snell said that the DDAs could be contacted and asked for their money to continue to pass through to the jail millage. That is required by law to be figured off of those projects, and be used within those DDAs, LDFAs, and any other special assessments that the state constitution or the Michigan legislature have applied them to. When you do the math on a DDA or an LDFA, you draw a line on the balance sheet at what the current taxes are. You do the math on the appreciation of the property, and you create a value, and that value is then the assessed difference between the new millage and that. And the word may is if we try to convince those DDAs and LDFAs to not accept that money, sir. That's why you put may on there.
Thank you. I heard Ray's answer, and I heard yours. I'm still going to ask the same question. Since it says may, what options do we have to take that out and say, no, you're absolutely not going to get it? Why do we have to rely on those agencies to... I'm sorry, you got a conversation going on?
That's illegal.
It's illegal? Then why does it say may? It doesn't say shall.
It's may because if they were to choose those entities, they could. We cannot arbitrarily take that from them. That would be illegal.
No, they are taking it from the citizens from the jail.
I understand that, and your conflict is really with state lawmakers.
Yeah.
Not the language on the ballot.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Snell.
Yeah, if I could maybe answer that a little more fully for Tony. The DDA and LDFA are tax increment finance authorities. That means any increase from a baseline in taxes, they get to capture. Doesn't matter where that tax is levied from. A lot of these DDAs and LDFAs keep library money, they keep other monies, but that's what the law says and requires, and that's why it says may. We may capture that tax, we may not from those facilities.
It does not say that the jail millage may capture those funds. Those are our funds to begin with. They're the citizens' funds. It says that these other agencies may get it distributed. I think we're looking at this from totally opposite perspectives. It's not that we may be allowed to keep those other tax increment funds. They're just taken from us.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. Yeah, yes, if you'd like to address the other portions.
I mean, yeah, I could address some of the questions Commissioner Bear had there. The dates are correct, actually. We specifically asked for those dates because the expectation is that if the voters are supportive and approve this in November, that in December, when we send a tax bill out, it will include this millage. Because we hope to break ground in the spring, and there will be expenses to be paid. So if we do not put those dates as they are, if we were to do as you suggest and put it back another year, we would not receive money until 24 when we started construction in 23. So we do not want to be behind the 8 ball on that. It is perfectly legal, acceptable, and we've done it before this way. So it's all good there. As far as the...
Let him respond.
And far as the language goes in regard to this, we had instructed our attorneys, and they drafted this, we had instructed our attorneys that we wish to, we're going to build a new jail. It's at Chanter Road where the existing jail is, and it's an addition, it is truly connected and an addition to the existing jail in Chanter. And then, of course, raise the old one, ideally put up a new office there with Sallyport and such. And that's what this language says.
Thank you. Commissioner Bear.
The existing jail millage and jail and operations millage goes through the end of December this year. That's what everybody's told me. That's what you have told me.
Incorrect. The
told
millage
me
expired
incorrectly.
last year. We collected money this year, just like I just described. You know, we'll approve the millage in '22, we bill and we'll receive our first payment in '23. It's the same as the old millage. The old millage expired in '21, with the last payment being '22.
Okay, if there are no, okay, Commissioner Duckham.
You said I asked a question and then bucks me out, sir. In reference to the cotton facility, it could be a good idea. I'm glad it's being checked on. But with all due respect to one of Chair Shotwell's statements, when we leased the incinerator from the state of Michigan, yes, we wanted to keep it and they told us to leave, but they waited until our bond obligation was paid. And we knew that was a possibility that they might not want to keep us. So if we would lease the cotton facility for 20 or 30 years, it seems to me, following their previous pattern, they wouldn't throw us out just because they wanted to. They had the decency to wait till our bond obligations were paid. And secondly, on the DDAs taking their cut of the tax shares that this bond would bring in, has there been any questions? Have we started communications with them yet to see if they want to give their bond money up, their share of it, they want to donate that towards the jail? I don't want to be stuck paying for a millage that we're hoping that they would donate their share of the bond millage too, because they may not want to donate it.
Well, we're not hoping. Remember, he's budgeted without that money. That's been taken out. So if they were to
Yes,
do it,
but
that would be a benefit.
I just sat here listening to talk that we're probably good because they don't have to take it, but we can't ask them for it. So it would seem like we should have some conversation going with them to see if they have interest.
Duly
So-
noted.
So we know, and
Okay.
not go ahead with the project hoping that they give up their share of the revenue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Duckham. I'm gonna be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Walls, support by myself. We can do a roll call vote on this.
Okay, all right, so I want to know, okay. You have a second on that, sir? I was talking to the chair. Okay.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Commissioner Walls. Yeah. Commissioner Kennedy, Chairman Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham.
Yes.
Pass.
Okay, that takes us to the next item, Sheriff Faster Horse's contract approval.
Yes, this contract has been gone through by our legal counsel. It's the contract that we've signed each year with Faster Horses for police services over there. We also work with Lenawee County, and it's quite an undertaking. But this is a standard language contract, so I just ask you to approve it.
Committee members, are there any questions? Commissioner Bear?
The contract, this contract entered into this 14th day of June 2022. I believe that date needs to be updated. It's 18th of July right now. So I don't think we can authorize it for, is there a reason this 14th of June was put in there?
No, Scribner error. It should be updated.
Okay, then I would request that this date be changed.
Yep, we will do that in the motion, Tony. Thank you for pointing that out. Commission, was that all? Okay, Commissioner Duckham?
Yes, sir. For Tony's comfort, it is mentioned in the resolution. You've got term, it says July 21st to July 24th. So it is clear there when the service is in to run. I have a question more on the operation. I know that we're right on the county line, and they're hiring Jackson County to help with the concert, with the security and everything. What are we going to do when most of it is on Lenawee County? Have you guys got a working agreement?
We do. Yep, so we work hand in hand with Lenawee County on it.
So would their prosecutor handle any charges rendered by us
Oh,
at the
yes.
racetrack?
Oh, yes.
Lenawee County.
Yes, sir. And there's a couple things there's provisions in law that allow us to do that, allow us to operate within a mile of our jurisdiction, and then still be able to operate with full police power. So we're well contained with that, though I appreciate the question.
So we know that if you make a charge, that they will be prosecuted by somebody.
Yes, that's correct.
It would probably be Lenawee County, because most of the facility is in Lenawee County.
Most of it is, yes. And so there's a couple of campgrounds that are Jackson County, and there's a little portion of it that's in Jackson County as well. And but Lenawee handles the boatload of everything.
So we won't have to rely on Prosecutor Jerzinka to jump into action.
It's possible. We may have to, depending upon whether or not it occurs in our jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Kibitsky had something to add?
I was just going to add, in regards to the contract, the other party already executed this contract, so that's probably why the signature, or the date says June, is because there's already a partially executed contract in the document.
So with that being said, in your professional opinion, should we alter that date or not?
If you'd have to get a new signature, you'd have to have the other party re-sign it. You can't just change the date. You can't just change the date that the party signed it, because they've already signed it. So you'd have to get a new signature on that document.
And technically, the contract is not a valid contract until this body approves it. So regardless of the date.
This contract was finalized 14th of June. Why was it not brought to the June Board of Commissioners meeting to sign it?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, June 14th, we wouldn't have been able to get it in because of the dates, so we would have had to have had it probably a week beforehand. I'd have to look at my calendar to know for sure, but we wouldn't have been able to get it in under the deadlines that are required to get it in front of the board. So that's probably the reason why. And then, of course, the next meeting would be July, so we would have to wait until then to get it in.
That's something we have to take up with the administrator. The study session we had a week ago, every commissioner has said, we view study sessions for study. You don't finalize contracts and policies at study session. But because of timing, we did that a week ago. So, yeah, there's general policies, and we always have exceptions to them. I still think it's foolish to have a date on the 14th of June when we're only talking about the 18th of July.
Okay. And you understand that the other party signed on that date, and that's why that date's on there. You heard that part from Deborah? Tony? Because I know you were having a problem hearing her.
Yes, I could hear some of what she was saying.
Okay.
But he signed that that he would be part of this agreement. The agreement's not finalized till the Board of Commissioners approves it,
Correct.
and that's happening July 18.
Commissioner Duckham.
Yes, I understand what happened with the date. You simply started the process. They signed it as a convenience when they sent the sheriff the letter. I'm okay with that. We can't both be here to sign it at the same exact minute. Somebody's got to go first. It's a signed contract. The date of the services is spelled out, so I'm good with it. And I'd like to make a motion to move this forward to the full board.
Moved by Duckham. Is there support? Support by Walls. We'll do a roll call vote. This is an action item. Committee members.
Commissioner Walls. Commissioner Duckham.
Yes.
Commissioner Bear.
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy.
Yes.
All in favor.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time. Takes us to item F, 911 dispatch surcharge fee. And I believe,
You want me to kick it off?
yeah, go ahead.
Jason can come up, and Jason can, of course, answer questions for anyone, as well as myself. As you know, we've talked about this a number of times, and it's gone back and forth as far as, do we do it now? Do we do it 2 years from now? Presidential election, that sort of thing. Frankly, we've come to the idea and the conclusion that we are best served to go ahead and push this forward now, ask the voters to approve it, and that gives the board maximum flexibility to seek, to change the fee up to the max if that's what's required. Next May, well, effective July. Would that be a summary?
Correct, that'd be July 1st.
And then as far as the technical aspects and stuff and what will we believe the potential benefit would be, I would leave that to the director.
Right.
Questions?
Committee members, are there any questions? Commissioner Duckham.
Seems to me like we've got our action items out of order. Am I wrong to assume that the millage is needed for implementation of the 911 system? But is that what it's going to be used for?
No, this is not the jail millage at all. This would be a 911 fee, the surcharge fee that we already charge. We charge $1.50.
Or after the other $1.50? Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so what are we going to use that other $1.50 for? It has to be used for 911.
Okay, Jason's here.
Correct, that's for the EMD and staffing that we've been presenting for the past couple of years.
Okay, I don't know as we need the millage. I don't know that yet.
The surcharge, you mean?
Yeah, the surcharge, yes.
Okay. Does that conclude your questions?
Yes.
All right, okay, Commissioner Bear.
Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
When I went with a group, thank you for inviting me, went to Ann Arbor to meet with Huron Valley Ambulance, I got the impression at that time that the problems that we were having with the medical dispatch was an interface between the county equipment and HVA's equipment. At that time, I was led to believe that a $100,000 interface patch between our computers and their computers would solve everything. Has that been done?
No, it has not. The interface was not going to solve everything. That was the start of the process. We talked about the transfer of calls will still have to take place. That time, the 90 seconds to 120 seconds, it takes extra for them to call us back, if they call us back. That will still take time to do. So getting the information to the fire departments, the rescue side of things, and making sure we're sending the correct apparatuses to those calls will still take place. Interface was the start of it. Taking the EMD, bringing that back to Jackson was the other part. That was just the start of it. Even
Mr. Irwin said that's only the beginning. It doesn't fix everything.
Okay, and you don't think it's prudent to start with that as a first step and see how much things improve, and then decide if we need to go further?
Well, the other part was the staffing issue as well, so we still have the staffing issue that we've been trying to deal with for a while as well, so the EMD and staffing is combined.
Okay, at one point, I can't find it right now, in some of this information, it said that it's taking...
Because we talked about lean being on fire board as well, which sometimes we can't answer the lean questions, or we put them on standby for 5-10 minutes, and we're not answering the lean because of a fire call. Or the calls are coming in to dispatch, we have to answer. Those come first, we put the lean on almost like third dairy afterwards.
Okay, my question was, I can't find it at the moment, there was one statement that currently the emergency medical dispatch is taking 70-some seconds, 70 to 90, and after we make this change, it might take up to 3 minutes?
Correct. I mean, we have calls right now that we'll spend 40 minutes on. Suicide calls, we'll spend 40 minutes on, 20 minutes on. So the current call, the average of the call is 67 seconds. EMD will make it about 3 minutes. Could be more, depending on what type of call it is. If it's a heart attack, if it's giving birth, something like that. We could be on the phone for a while, yes.
Okay, it just seemed odd to me that the time would double after we made these changes.
Well, you're giving the medical instructions, so you're going through all the medical questions, answers, that you're giving them to try to save that person's life.
So once we have our own EMD here in Jackson, we won't need any association with the Huron Valley Ambulance?
They are still going to be our ambulance company, yes, in Jackson County, JCA. Huron Valley only does the emergency medical dispatching part of it. JCA, our local ambulance, gets dispatched by HVA, or Huron Valley Ambulance, in Jackson. So yes, there'll still be conversations with them. We build that interface, we send the information, they dispatch the unit. The units, the way we talked about, the units will get the information directly into their ambulances, so they have it a little quicker than by the radio. Sorry.
Okay, I'm still missing something then, because if we have our own emergency medical dispatch, then why do we need Huron Valley Ambulance's emergency medical dispatch?
They dispatch the ambulances, so the information is still going to go to them.
Okay.
All right. I also went out there, as you know, to Ann Arbor, and I appreciate you taking the time out.
Welcome.
My understanding, similar to Commissioner Bears, was that the main component needed was the interface. The director of Huron Valley made no qualms about that. He didn't necessarily think that adding our own dispatch thing was necessary. He said, almost quote unquote, if my memory is correct, you can if you want to, but he wasn't openly saying that needed to be done. I want to make that clear. Secondly, what is the total amount of employees that would be added under this proposal?
If we receive EMD and staffing, there is a total of, I believe on the last presentation was 10.
That's what I was thinking. So nothing's changed on that?
No.
It'd be 8 full-timers and 2 supervisors, if my memory was correct?
Correct.
Okay. And are we currently fully staffed in our dispatch center with what we currently have? Did we get those positions filled?
Yes, we are.
Good. Thank you. Commissioner Duckham.
Yeah, I'm not sold on this. I want to make the system work smooth for the fire chiefs. I want our people protected. And sure, they'll get their service they need, which maybe sometimes will come up short just because of the situation. But I understand that Huron Valley has an 800 radio system, the same 800 radio systems we have. I don't know why we need all this communication back and forth. Dispatch could simply make the call to Huron Valley, and if it's Summit Township, say we have an emergency, then Huron Valley, when they're dispatched, would simply have to get on their 800 phone, or 800 radio, and connect directly with the responder, which in my example is Summit Township. It would be best if they talk together rather than the approach we're taking, unless I'm missing something, because we're going to have to hire 8 emergency medical dispatchers. We're going to have to send them out for 6 months to get their certificate. We're going to have to rely that as rookies with certificates are going to get their answers right to the person that needs the emergency medical services. It would seem we'd be much better off if Huron Valley talked directly to Summit Township or Leone Township or Columbia Township's responders, who may be on the scene in just a matter of a minute, rather than going back and forth through dispatch. And also, this is a balloon. It looks like I'm not going to support adding 8 people to dispatch. Ain't going to happen. Just because we needed a medical emergency responder, maybe we do, but I don't see we need 2 more supervisors and all the extra fringe. I look at it almost as a backdoor way of fulfilling a dream, to have so many people.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Well, that's what's happening. I mean, you're getting dispatchers, and you're getting sergeants, and directors, and shift supervisors. I'm sorry, I won't support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Snell.
Hi, question here. So no matter what we do, whether we approve this or not, it sounds like the interface between the 2 systems needs to happen anyway. And to do that, and I was at the Huron Valley meeting too, it sounds like that could be 6 months to a year to get that done.
At least.
Yeah. So, and I'm of the belief that whether or not we expand or whatever, we're going to need that interface still.
Correct.
So to me, it's like, let's get that done, get that started, get that ball rolling first, while we debate whatever else is going on. Like you just confirmed that whether or not we do this, we do need the interface.
Interface is needed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chairman Shotwell.
I'm going to politely ask this committee to forward this to the full board with no recommendation at this time, so that we can answer questions, because every time I'm looking towards the back of the room, I'm seeing heads shaking in the opposite direction to the questions that commissioners are asking. I would appreciate this committee to do that. You don't have to put a recommendation on it. It doesn't have to show that it passed this committee. I'm just asking for you to send it to the full Board of Commissioners so all 9 of us can speak as a group, if we're going to vote it up or vote it down. That's what I'm going to ask.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, committee.
Committee members, what's your pleasure? Commissioner Duckham.
I'll support sending it to the full board. I'm not against, I just need questions answered, and we get conflicting information, and we're being asked to invest $1 million a year to save a minute, maybe. And we don't know what the problem lies in Huron Valley being understaffed. They said they were. So I'd welcome a chance to get questions answered before I have to decide yes or no.
Okay.
I move to forward it.
You moved to forward it with or without committee recommendation?
Out recommendation.
Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Walls. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Duckham,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Commissioner Walls. Yes. Chairman Kennedy.
Yes.
Pass.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Takes us to the next item, emergency dispatch amended MPSCS radio policy.
And this is the policy that, we did back in 2020, it was approved by this board. There is a credit that was given to Consumers Energy that was not on the policy, so we added that into the policy. We're trying to make it correct in case any other entities that want to come on to the MPSCS follows the policy that was written and approved by you guys, and also if they bring infrastructure on, that there's a credit for them as well.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you. This started April 2021, and it came up again April 2022. The issue was that the recommendation from administration to the Board of Commissioners was not consistent with the policy at that time. It was easy to calculate from the policy exactly what the fee should have been. Administration brought it to us with factors to put into the formula that were not in the policy. So now this policy is being rewritten just to codify those erroneous factors into our actual policy at this point. I don't see this. I would like somebody to calculate for me the under the costs, that'd be paragraph 3, Roman numeral 3. The non-county member is responsible for 3% of the original investment cost. Well, whose original investment cost? The county's $7.5 million, or the entity's $500,000? It's not clear here which investment is to be plugged into this formula.
Okay.
So at least I think we need this document clarified, so there's no doubt as to whose investment we're talking about. And as you follow through on the calculations, it seems that's the only cost, 3% of somebody's investment. So can somebody calculate for me what would be, this all started with the consumer's request for radios. Can somebody calculate for me the radio fee that would be charged to consumers with this new policy?
Administrator Overton.
Sure. We haven't changed how we calculate the fee. The only difference there would be, well, frankly, the reason that we're doing this, as you indicated, I think you're correct, in that the policy did not account for, as Jason said, people who invest in our radio system. Consumers spent, well, we're still waiting on the final number, but approximately $500,000, we've been told, to add 2 channels to our towers, which gives us obviously greater flexibility in the system itself. And we gave them 3% credit, so that's 3% of their investment, $500,000, and reduced that from their fee. But the policy did not say that we could do that, didn't say we couldn't. I brought it to the county board. The county board approved it, therefore we can. Now we are going back, as you suggested, and cleaning up the policy to add that. Because when we first developed the policy, we had no inclination that there would be entities out there willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in the county's radio system. I frankly welcome the investment. I think it serves everyone better. And so we don't find it very difficult to calculate this at all. It's 3% of the investment cost. We actually invested, what was it, 1.7 million, or excuse me, 7.1 million, I think is the number. Ours worked out to be, we are approved up to 7.5, is how I understand it. And as far as, so it's that 3% plus the share of the operational costs. So basically we say, what's it take to maintain those towers and, to operate those towers. That's electricity, that could be propane, all those sort of things. And then we divide that, or I should say, we apply that to that cost. We divide it up amongst the non-union members or non-county members, and they share in that operational cost. Because they're benefiting from this greatly. So, for instance, the high school, JPS. JPS, this is a good deal for them. They get a very reliable system and at a much reduced cost. It's good for all of them, for all of us as well, because they help pay for our ongoing operational costs.
Thank you. Committee members, I'd be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Duckham. Okay, go ahead. Yep, I'll support. Discussion. Commissioner Bear.
Before the final board meeting, when this gets approved, I would like some examples of cost calculated. When I followed what I could find in this proposed policy, there's still some other terms that are not precise. Policy, we can't have things up for interpretation. In addition to their share of the operating expense, how do we calculate their share?
I can send you that spreadsheet.
Well, whatever it is, it needs to be put in here in specific words so we know it.
Yes, sir.
When I calculated what I could through here, I came up with a fee for consumers. Yeah. When I calculate the fee for consumers through this new policy, I come up with $172.30 per radio. The next agenda item is the Summit DPW contract, and we're charging them $249.35 per radio. So I would like, I need an explanation from management. How do we charge one entity $172 and somebody else $250?
I will get you that answer for you.
Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for, some
Yes, sir.
clarification in the language.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Takes us to item H, Emergency Dispatch Summit DPW Contract Radios.
So late last year, we started a conversation with Summit Township at DPW. They've been wanting to get on the radio system and off their current system. I did include the intent letter from, I think, Van Winkle from DPW. DPW services Napoleon Township, Summit Township, and Spring Arbor Township. We utilize them a lot in fires. We call them on their phones, ask them to turn on extra pumps to get more pressure going to their fire hydrants. So that's the reason why they want to get on. The radio service is still below 1%, which the threshold for the state is 2%. The threshold in our policy is 1.7%, 30% low. So we're still below that. Even during the high times, which is faster horses, it doesn't increase no more than 1.23%. They want to bring on 13 radios. Public safety will still have priority over them, just like we do now with Consumers Energy and Jackson Public Schools. Jackson County Central Dispatch has an ongoing cost for the maintenance, which was just talked about. Ongoing costs, we try to do actual, so a year later we know exactly what we spent for the year, and that's what we include, which is last year was $78,468.87 in maintenance of the system. So that's propane, gas, electric, service agreements with the state. That's part of it. The cost of the per radio was $249.53. The annual cost will be $3243.89.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Duckham.
I support Summit getting the radios, but how far are we gonna take this for $249 per mic?
I guess I don't understand the question, sorry.
Can I get one?
No. Well, I I guess you're on DPW, or send a letter of intent, the 911 advisory board will look over it.
I
and-
just wonder how far this is gonna go. Every county employee or fire department employee or whatever, road department employee could probably make a case they need one. Take home with them at night. Is there gonna be any
Well, that's,
policy here where we're gonna stop this? Like I say, I fully support Summit. If Napoleon needed them, I fully would support Napoleon getting them, or Columbia. Justified, but we had this problem talked about early on when we got into the 800 system, and people that had pagers they took home, wanted to switch and get a new free radio.
Right.
And $249 a year for a radio that's a pretty good deal, really. Like I
But-
say, as a county official,
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, how far, can I get one?
Well, I think that's why we've got the policy to really protect the system and who gets a radio. I mean, it goes before the 911 advisory board first, and then they vote on it there, and then it comes before you guys to vote on it as a whole. So I think we got 2 points where it could stop at.
Okay, I could see where the wrecker services could ask for one, and it may even be handy.
Right.
But where do we draw the line?
Correct. Understand that.
Going to be on that, though? I mean, is there a policy in place, or do you need to write one? Or does,
We have the policy, the radio policy, which covers all that stuff, yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. That's what I'm wondering. Thank you. We'll be supporting this. Do you need a motion?
Sure, I'll take a motion.
Take a motion, move forward?
Forward it to the full board.
Yes.
Do I have support? 1 second, Commissioner Bear. Do I have support? Supported by Walls. Discussion, Commissioner Bear.
I would like to amend that motion that we send it to the full board without recommendation.
Dies from a lack of support. Original motion's on the floor. I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Walls? Commissioner Duckham?
Yes.
Commissioner Bear?
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy?
Yes.
Pass.
Thank you, Jason. Friend of the court, position upgrade request. Hello, Sarah.
Good morning. Okay, so I'm back before you again. This is a follow-up from our continued process improvement from our merger with the Establishment Department from the PA's office. With every open position, part of our strategic plan is to evaluate the open position, see if it's needed, see where we need to improve workflow, and this is why I'm here today. We have 2 part-time positions that are currently filled, a caseworker position and an alternative dispute resolution position. Those 2 people are primarily able to do support reviews, custody investigations, mediate with parents, do all the things that are alternative dispute resolution. We also have an open part-time investigator position that came over from the prosecutor's office that hasn't been filled for many years and has been, the work with that position has been utilized by casual employees. So we're wanting to shift away from using casual employees, fill the union positions that we have, but in doing so, we realize that we actually need more people that can do the support establishment piece because the investigator doesn't do that, and can work with the parents in the establishment process to establish parenting time plans, mediate their differences, those types of things. So that's why we're looking to upgrade those 2 part-time positions to full-time. We're going to eliminate the open part-time position that currently exists and reduce our casual budget because we won't need so many casual employees doing the work that we have now with the union employees. We did a cost analysis with this, with Cecilia's help. It was roughly $77,000 to upgrade those 2 part-time positions annually to full-time. In making the adjustments from the reclassification of the assistant prosecuting attorney position to the staff attorney position, we had savings there. And then eliminating the part-time position and the casual monies, we ended up with a net savings of just over $6,000 if we move forward with it.
Committee members, do we have any questions?
Make a motion to move.
Hold on a second. Commissioner Snell does.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I would like to see is an actual spreadsheet showing current costs, the way we're doing things for those positions, and then what it would look like if we did make those changes, and I'd like that to include fringe benefits too.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can provide that.
Yeah, that was my main question, and Cecilia could probably answer it. Were fringe, meaning insurance, vacations, personal time, all included in that estimate? Thank you. Any other committee member questions? Not, Commissioner Duckham?
I'd like to make a motion to forward this to the full board contingent upon receiving the information Commissioner Snell asked for.
Thank you. Is there support? Supported by Walls. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Takes us to the Region 2 Planning Commission semi-annual report. No, he's no longer with us. I'm sorry, sir, I've yet to meet you.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Jacob Hurt, the Executive Director of Region 2 Planning Commission. Here to give our semi-annual report through June of this year. In terms of our metropolitan transportation planning work, you'll see a number of items listed. The I-94 freeway modernization project is obviously ongoing. Going to hit some significant milestones this summer. We continue to work through our fiscal year 2020 through 2023 transportation improvement program. In your information, there's a list of major fiscal year 22 projects that are underway. We also, just last week at our board meeting, adopted our fiscal year 2023 through 2026 transportation improvement program, which will take us obviously through the next handful of years. You'll also see a listing of the major projects included in your packet for that. We also have worked through and completed our unified work program for our transportation work for fiscal year 23, which is actually just our kind of annual, obviously, work plan. And then shifting into economic development, we received a partnership planning grant for fiscal year 2022 from the Economic Development Administration early in the year. That is being utilized to implement the comprehensive economic development strategy that we wrote last year. So we do have an implementation committee that works to do that work. We've had a couple meetings so far this year. We have about 4 more lined up. That project will wrap up in October. And then finally, in terms of planning commission work, we obviously provide staff for the Jackson County Planning Commission. So far this year, we've dealt with 6 township rezonings and 3 revisions to text amendments of zoning ordinances. The full draft of the 2022 version of the Jackson County Master Plan has been distributed for public comment. And finally, wrapping up, we continue to work with the Upper Grand River Watershed Alliance on their stormwater and water trail planning committees. And last week at the study session, we presented the Jackson County Hazard Mitigation Plan for adoption that has been approved by FEMA, and that will now begin working its way through the adoption process. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer any of those.
Thank you a lot for your report. Committee members, can I have a motion to accept the report? Moved by Bear, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Takes us to item K, Animal Shelter Second Quarter Report. And Lydia's here. Hi, Lydia.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Oops,
There we go.
All right, great. Okay, so I'm reporting a little bit late this quarter. I was out of town, in June, so I'm glad. Thanks for being patient. And you can change the slide. Is your thing? Found it. Nope. Well, I can start by telling you that the construction on the building is moving along pretty well. They're working very quickly on that, and things are looking good. They are on target to finish, as of right now, on time. There are some items that are having shipping delays, but they are still hopefully going to end towards the end of the year, as we were hoping for. Our community and volunteer engagement events, this is a list of places we were in May through June. As you can see, we're very, very busy in the community, and we're happy to be reaching out and connecting with so many people in Jackson County. I'm afraid to touch it. Okay. And June and July are equally as busy. We have many requests for pet therapy visits, tours, group tours in the shelter, student groups. There's a lot that we're doing, and we created kitten fishing, because I know a lot of the kittens kind of can scratch skin in the senior homes. So we created kitten fishing, where we take a playpen, put the kittens in it, and use the little poles with strings so they can interact with the animals but not get injured. So kitten fishing's become pretty popular. And there's, again, the building update. We're really looking forward to increasing our services for the community, and I hope that this building will accommodate the work that we're already doing, just make our operations that much more efficient, and be able to reach out and assist more people in the community. Our animal control officers have been staying about steady, about the same. I'm surprised how many bite cases there are in Jackson County. That's something that hasn't changed. And I'm grateful that we can handle those calls and those aggressive animal calls and take that burden off of law enforcement. So seeing how many that we're doing, I think that creates a good balance that we can carry that load. Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner Duncombe.
Yeah, the bite calls, is that about normal, 59 year-to-date?
It is. That's
Is it predominantly city? Or is it?
no. It's spread out through
Spread out?
between city and county. I can get a breakdown for you, though.
That's okay. I just
Okay.
wonder, I used to have a lot of my guys bit in the city doing the trash collection. And I just wonder if it was still the case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our cat intake, it feels like kitten season is not ended this year. A lot of cats coming in to the community, to the shelter, I'm sorry, from Jackson County. But just a constant turnover, but we're moving along there. Dogs, a lot of stray dogs. A lot of people not reclaiming their animals. And I think that's something I've found it's not just in Jackson County. It's kind of happening, a trend across the country and the Midwest right now. This quarter, we received a $10,000 grant for emergency medical equipment. A lot of times we're the first line of defense for someone that is having an animal emergency, and we don't really have the equipment at our shelter to handle several different types of emergencies. So this will help us be able to better serve people when they're having an animal emergency, because there also are no emergency vets in Jackson County. We also received, it's about between $4,000 and $5,000 of vaccines that was through a grant, so we can give free vaccines to dogs and cats until that supply is depleted. So hopefully we can make sure everyone's getting their pets vaccinated as needed, and we can help with that since everything is so expensive right now. Hopefully that will help with take that expense away. And back to the building, we don't have to go back, but we are limiting some intake right now because they are working on the back part of the building, so we can't have it full of dogs. We're still taking in stray animals, but we're really limiting owner surrenders, and we're not doing transports at this time until we have that space back for us. So, any questions?
Thank you. Lydia, any questions, committee members? If not, I'd look like a motion to accept the report. Moved by Walls, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. That takes us to the Jackson County Department of Transportation items. First one being Phelps Drive Quit Claim Deed. Hi, Angie.
Good morning. Oops, sorry. All right, so our first item is Phelps Drive. We've talked about this before, but back in 2019, there was found an error with Phelps Drive's recording. The original owner tried to turn it over to the road commission at the time, and the road commission never received that deed. So they tried to do away with the error by recording 2 affidavits, but the title company for the owner is not happy with that, and they won't issue title insurance. So they have requested that we accept this quit claim deed, which essentially washes our hands of this, like we tried with the affidavits. So we're asking the board to approve a quit claim deed for Phelps Drive.
So we'll have no more responsibility whatsoever.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Duckham.
I remember 3, 4, 5 years back where this came before our board, and the owner sought to turn the road over to the county. This road is simply a driveway.
Yeah,
There's nobody but him. Now, who's going to be responsible for the snowplow and the repairing of potholes if it's a county road?
no, it's not becoming a county road. At that time is when we bought it, and that's when we were asked to work on a procedure, a policy, I think it's a procedure for the board for accepting private roads to public. We've done that. We're not asking for this to become a public road now. This is making sure that that owner can do what he needs to do. So the owner will maintain everything. We have nothing to do with this road anymore. The only time it could ever come before us again is if that owner decides to ask us to take it as a public, but they're not doing that at this time.
I don't know of any other business's driveway that we've accepted as a public road.
We're not
We
doing
didn't
that.
accept it as a public road. We never did, and we're not now.
Well, maybe, what is the verbiage there?
It's a quick claim deed relieving us of everything to do with this road.
Okay.
Even though we say we have nothing to do with it, there's just, it's,
Technicality.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's relieving us of it. We will not have anything to do with this road.
I do remember when we were requested to make this a county road, and maybe they were requesting the wrong thing back then. I don't know.
Yeah, it was, the township was working with us. They wanted it to become public, but that has changed. Now
Okay.
we're just trying to clean it up so that they can get insurance.
Thank you.
All right, if no other questions, be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board.
Support.
Moved by Bear, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to the next item, Phase 2, Bridge Bundling Resolution.
All right, I believe a few months ago, I did let the board know that the bridge was accepted into the bridge bundling program. So we are here asking for a support resolution for that project, and it's to include the Hanover Road Bridge over the south branch of the Kalamazoo River, which is in Pulaski Township, for MDOT to basically rebuild that bridge free of charge to us. We just have to work with them on the project and sign permits, review bridge plans, but they'll do everything, construction, and then once it's built, they'll turn us over a brand-new bridge.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Morning, Angie. There's no cost to the county associated with this program. We're responsible for, the state's going to rebuild it, and you were saying we're responsible for signage and...
Signing permits, so there'll be various permits that have to be obtained, or we'll issue right-of-way permits for their contractor to work in our road right-of-way to rebuild it, but there's no fiscal match. Normally, when I talk about bridge replacements, we have a 5% fiscal match. On a grant, this one's 100% covered.
Okay, so our only expense is going to be staff doing some paperwork.
Yep, and then once the bridge is built, then the maintenance of that structure after, but yep, for construction, it's covered.
Thank you.
Looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Bear, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to item N, Marshall Street Resolution.
All right, so this is another item cleanup. It's been brought to the Village of Brooklands and JCDOT's attention that a portion of Marshall Street, which you can see on the map, a very small section, is not on either of our Act 51 certification maps. When we met with the village to talk about it, they desired to claim that section. It's only 655 feet, and it could go either way because it borders a jig-jog in the town or the village boundaries. So we're asking, the state will not let the village just take it without us supporting it, so we're asking the board to support the Village of Brooklyn maintaining or taking over and adding that 655-foot section to their Act 51 certification map.
Any questions, committee members? Be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Walls, supported by Commissioner Bear. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to the Road Fund Deficit and Elimination Plan.
All right, so the easiest way to explain this is, you'll see on the next item, our JCDOT Act 51 report does show that we have a year-end fund balance of the $235,000 in the positive. But when the auditors do the audit, they have to take into consideration our inventory, which is part of our assets. They consider that a non-spendable or a restricted fund. So they have to subtract that off, which puts us in a negative or a year-end deficit. You'll see on the motion, or the resolution that we have the board asking them for support, it shows on page 2 of it, kind of summarizes. So for 21, you'll see that our year-end is the 235, and then the non-spendable inventory as of December 31st of 21 was the 2.7, which gives us that minus restricted funds, the 2.5. Now, I want to remind the board, they took care of this in February when we came before you requesting the ARPA funds for our lost revenues. So we did transfer those ARPA funds in. That's why you'll see in 22, our revenues are increased and the deficit's gone by the end of the year. If you look at the first page, you'll see the other federal sources in 22 budget are those ARPA funds, the amount that the board's transferred in.
Committee members, any questions? Be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Walls, supported by Duckham. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. This brings us to the Act 51 report.
All right, so we are asking the board to support the Act 51 report so that the board can sign the cover sheet. Basically, to summarize, I'll go to page 7 of the Act 51 report, where that shows our revenues, expenditures, and our year-end fund balance that I just talked about. You'll see in the far right column, our revenues were the $29.5 million. Our expenditures are at $33.6 million, which shows that we overspent the almost $4.1 million. But we did have a 4.3 fund balance to begin the year. So that's why our 235 is our end-of-year fund balance to the Act 51 report. They do not compare or take off the non-spendables as the auditors do. To remind everyone, when we stood here for ARPA funds, we did have that revenue loss in 21. We did not get that revenue until this year in February, so it won't reflect in our Act 51 report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, committee members? Seeing none, be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board. Moved by Duckham, supported by Bear. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. And that brings us to monthly report.
All right, for sake of time, because I know you guys have one more agenda item, I just wanted to go ahead and highlight 3 things in our monthly, and then I can answer questions. The first one is the recycling began last week. We started on Jones Road. We got I think about a mile of 1 lane done, and they'll continue this week on that. And then if you see, I get a lot of questions on dust control and mowing. So our dust control is completed, our first round, and we'll begin, we have began the second round, and we started in Pulaski Township for the second round of dust control. And then mowing is complete, and our second round will start in September.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Hi, Angie. Had a question from a couple constituents. Cooper Road. They asked me to forward this question to you. How did you decide to pave the northern portion of Cooper Road that, in these people's opinion, had fewer potholes and has less traffic, and you did not pave the southern part of Cooper Road that has more traffic and more potholes? How was that decision made?
Cooper Road, I believe, was MDOT. Bruce? Let me look into that, Tony. I can get,
Which part of the road we're talking about?
yeah, if you can get me specifics. So MDOT did some paving because of detour traffic and different things. So I can get you details on that. I don't know off the top of my head right now. I'm sorry, Tony.
Okay.
I can
Well, it's
email you
like,
though.
It's like Blackman Road, a portion of it, half mile or so closest to the railroad and Michigan Avenue, is scheduled to be repaved because of certain classifications of the road. But Blackman Road a little further north, which I drive frequently, and it's much worse. Because it's classified differently, it's not getting repaired as soon. So I don't know if the same situation was on Cooper Road.
So as I stand here, Jim Cole is watching the video, and he just texted me saying that was paid for as a local road by Rives. So that was paid, it's a local road project that was paid for by Rives Township.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Commissioner Duckham.
Good morning, Angela.
Good morning.
You stated that the asphalt recycle machine is in action. Has it been broke down?
No, we've been using it, I don't know the day it started, but for crush and shapes. Remember I talked about this year we're using it to do our crush and shapes instead of have a contractor do it. So if you look at the, most recently, probably the Blackman map that I sent that was probably shared to the commissioners, so it shows the progress. The crush and shapes that were completed in there was the recycling equipment. So it's doing the same thing, it's just not injecting the material.
Okay,
So yeah, we've been using it, it's not broken.
that'll be a question.
It's not broken.
Outlying areas, thank you.
Has not been broken.
Thank you.
Be looking for a motion to accept the report. Moved by Duckham, supported by Bear. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Thank you, Angie, and please pass along to your team that we appreciate the work they're doing. They get a lot of griping and not much praise, and I see them out there working hard, so thank you.
I will let them know. Thank you very much.
Takes us to our final item, Assistant Deputy Drain Commissioner, EIT, GIS, Tech full-time position request. And the Drain Commissioner is here. Hello, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah, we're looking for a motion to recommend to the full board. It's a position that's the office is always enjoyed. It's just been vacant for a number of years. We're asking to refill it. The position's base salary request is $78,000. With the fringes, it takes it up to, I think, 102 when you do the math. The purpose for the request coming at this time is that this office's demand for its services are going up every year. Phone calls are up, the complaint investigations are up, the development in the county is up well over last year. The project, or the time that it takes to respond to development plans being submitted is taking too long. We need more help. The projects seem to be getting larger in size. Last year we had about 4,000 acres of solar farms coming to Jackson County. It's a lot of land to cover, a lot of time spent in the field. This year, we've got a large gravel pit over on North Parma Road. Lincoln's farm is being converted. Again, it takes a lot of time in the field. We need the help. Happy to answer questions if you have any.
Committee members, do we have any questions? Commissioner Bear.
I have been very pleased with our drain commissioner as to how responsive and thorough he has been when any of my constituents have needed assistance with flooding, with other issues. Reports are always very detailed. I've been very pleased and impressed with his work. So the document in front of us has a motion requested. I won't read the whole thing. It's written in front of you, so I will move that motion. Move to approve the addition of the funds for the hiring of a full-time assistant. So the full motion is written on the document here.
So that
Secretary should have it.
motion looks to be dying by lack of support. I'll make a motion to refer this to the administrator's office.
Second that.
I would
Discussion, Commissioner Bear.
object to forwarding this to the administrator's office. We've done that with a couple other requests, and the employees did not, other departments, employees did not receive what I thought was fair consideration. For 3.5 years, I have heard our administrator talk down, badmouth our drain commissioner, and I never understood why. I always felt it was inappropriate. So turning this over to our administrator to make a decision, to me is I'll just say it, I don't know what other word to be more polite, it's a cowardly act. We are the elected board members, we need to take action, and not just so that we don't go on the record with a vote, just pass it on to somebody else who I know is not going to be supportive. So I don't understand why I didn't get a second on this. It's disappointing.
Thank you. Commissioner Duckham.
I'd like to comment on that also, especially to Tony. We're looking at $106,000. I'm not sure what's in the cards. There's been talk of moving the drain commissioner's office possibly to the road commission and let them join forces, letting them possibly share engineers. That could be a viable operation. or alternative. If we did that way, we'd have a whole floor in the county building to rent out to somebody and bring more money in and save some money by not having to put another engineer on, because road commission's full of engineers, and Mike would know if we could make that happen. I don't think there's any disrespect there. I don't think he's being cowardly there. I don't think you just are completely in the loop, Tony, that's all. So I won't support your resolution, I'm sorry. I'll send it to Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Bear, 1 second. I'm going to give all committee members their first opportunity. My outlook on this is there's been 26 years this position hasn't been needed, and 106,000, I don't have the exact amount right up in front of me right now, but right around there is a pretty large annual increase to be asking for. I too have the same mindset as Commissioner Duckham in that we should utilize the engineers that we have out at Jackson County Department of Transportation before we go creating another position, which again is looking to grow government.
Point. When you look at the core values of the county, efficiency is one of them. My office has been very efficient. And doesn't need to be kicked in the guts as a result of that efficiency. I know the county administrator has goals to combine my office with that of the JDOT. It's one that I don't support for a number of reasons, but efficiency is the most important. I get a phone call, I return it within 24 hours, typically. If I get a complaint, it's responded to within, if not that day, that week. The engineer staff at JDOT is paid out of the weight and gas tax funds. If you expect them to service on a daily basis the needs of the Drain Commissioner, you're going to see an invoice going from JDOT to the Drain Commissioner's office. It's going to include the salary, fringes, 8% overhead. Do you expect that to happen within that day or that week? Because that's not their schedule. They schedule forward to take care of road needs. Drain Commissioner is not on that schedule. Their engineers are trained to look at the road right-of-way and the impact from an engineering point of view of maintaining that road right-of-way, managing the runoff from that road right-of-way, keeping that road right-of-way safe for the motoring public. That's not the function of the Drain Commissioner. The function of the Drain Commissioner is to provide for the infrastructure for the county to allow for the growth of the county, including sanitary sewers, collection system, treatment facilities, water main, water distributions, water towers, storm sewers, both for road right-of-way as well as out of the road right-of-way. Out of the 124 service requests last year, 40 of them related to problems within the road right-of-way that JDOT had to respond to and take, because they were complaints from their road right-of-way. Problems that were created either by people taking water into the road or roadside ditches needed cleaning or driveway tubes needed addressing. Yes, we work together, but my time spent taking care of JDOT problems isn't billed to them. Their time will be billed to the drain office. If that's your expectations, you better put in a line item for next year's budget. This is going into the Board of Commissioners for my budget for next year. I've recommended it. I haven't come to you before, whether it's 26 years or however many, because I was able to do it myself with the time constraints being demanded by the developers, the public demands. We're no longer at that stage. You've got a lagoon project coming up, supposed to be around $8 million. Who's going to handle it? JDOT? They could. My request is a recommendation from this group to the full board, and I'd appreciate that consideration.
Thank you, Drain Commissioner. Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Snell.
I'd like to say that I've worked with Jeff for decades now, and he's always been responsive. We're living in an age that isn't 26 years ago, and there is more need for our services. There's more regulations. There's more requirements. We expect more with soil. Well, you know, the health department does soil erosion, but Jeff still has a hand in that. I think it's time to evaluate what's necessary, and I'm not going to be opposed to Jeff's ask.
Thank you, Commissioner Snell. Commissioner Duckham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ray, I agree with you. Drain Commissioner's always responded to my requests. He's come out and met with me at problem points. But that's why I think we should send it to Mike, because we're talking about adding an extra $100,000 a year and talking about Jeff's needs, and rather than just throw money at it and grow government when we have people on board that may be able to help Jeff without expanding government. That's why I think that it should go to Mike and have him evaluate the need and bring a recommendation forth. So that's how I'll be going. I support Jeff, and that's why I'm not voting no, is let's see what Mike and Jeff can work out. Thank you.
Okay, any other committee member questions or comments? Okay. Commissioner Bear, this will be your final opportunity.
We are adding staff to many different departments. This is a $106,000 request based on our total budget. How many decimal points past the zero does this dollar amount really come in at? This is nothing. We're doing it for other departments, adding staff. This department needs it, and I'll be embarrassed if we don't support this.
One other point that was made, Chairman.
Please keep
Last year's budget request,
pushing up to our next meeting, so, okay?
last year's budget request, I had requested a part-time engineer. Received no consideration whatsoever from the administrator. Wasn't brought to you with my recommendation. There's been no discussion with Mike and myself with respect to moving the offices. That's one that he came up with. there's been no dialogue. This is a request that I'm making to the board. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's going to get legs with the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, I'm going to call to order a vote. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Commissioner Walls,
Could I have clarification on the motion, please?
Yes, sir. The motion is to refer to the administrator's office. Do you have?
motion to move to the county administrator's office.
I'm sorry, then I need to change my vote. I was not clear on what we were voting on. The current motion is what?
The current motion was to move to the county administrator's office.
Oh, I'll vote no on that.
Okay, so Commissioner Bear's a no.
Commissioner Walls? No. Commissioner Duckham? Chairman Kennedy?
Yes.
2-2.
So the motion fails? No, it doesn't. Oh, excuse me. That's correct.
Chairman Shotwell? Passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moves us to item 5, other business. I need a motion to pay the claims. Moved by Duckham. I'll support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to other minutes, of which there are none. Takes us to reporting schedule for next month. Next month, we will have the Jackson County Department of Transportation monthly report, sheriff semi-monthly report, prosecutor semi-annual report, public defender quarterly report. That takes us to our second opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment?
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, my name is David Wooden. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief for the City of Jackson, and I'm the Vice Chair of your 911 Advisory Board. I appreciate your support on the EMD millage, but you're missing the big picture here. We're talking about needing dispatchers, but we're talking about shortening up response time for rescues to save citizens' lives. I can document call after call after call where rescue was delayed being sent by 2 to 5 minutes. I only have stats available for the city, but I know this is happening in the Out County as well. Years and years ago, when Jackson County upgraded and we went ALS on the ambulance, they brokered a deal with HVA to do our emergency medical dispatch because it saved money. Now it's costing people's lives. Brain death occurs in 4 minutes. Our average response time in the city is 3.5, even when we get sent from right out of the chute. You have got to deal with this accordingly. We sent you a 1.5 years, the 911 Advisory Board, a recommendation to do this. When I was appointed to this position on the board, we were promised we would have
30 seconds,
a voice. Sir. I'm sorry? 30 seconds. That we would have a voice with the board and the decisions. I'm just telling you, we have done our homework. We have researched this. And we are bringing this to you because 1, dispatch is understaffed, and 2, we need to go to EMD to increase our response time by the fire departments. Instead of have the call go to HVA.
Time has expired, sir.
And then back. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Sorry, we'll make it as quick as possible. Brandon Hughes, Fire Chief, Liberty Township, as well as longtime paramedic here in Jackson County and surrounding counties. Just one thing to point out, emergency medical dispatch is in all counties surrounding Jackson, as well as the majority of the state. So the first thing, I just challenge you guys to do your own homework, and if you could answer that. We've got Hillsdale County, a quarter of the population, doing emergency medical dispatch. Jackson County's not. So that's a red flag to me. So that's one thing to look into for this committee. Two, just a quick example, Liberty Township borders Hillsdale County. 911 calls generally bounce down to Hillsdale County. When that happens, Hillsdale County cannot legally transfer a 911 call to Jackson County because they're not qualified. All right? Jackson County Dispatch can't take a 911 call for emergency medical because they're not certified to take it. They're not emergency medical dispatch. So Hillsdale transfers that call to JCA, HVA in Ann Arbor. Then, after that, it's up to HVA to figure out, well, do I transfer it to Jackson County or do I not? So now we start delaying again. We're extending the time frame exponentially. Then there's no JCA unit available, which is common today. So they kick it back to Hillsdale County and dispatch Somerset Township. And then the Liberty Township Fire Department never even gets dispatched. So there's just some chain of events that happen that need to be looked into. And I would just hope to have the opportunity to explain more when we get the opportunity about some of the things that are happening on the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? Any more public comment? Last chance for public comment. Public comment is now closed. Takes us to committee member comments. Commissioner Duckham. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Bear.
Our drain commissioner is too important to this community to be treated the way he was treated here today. I've been a commissioner for 3.5 years, a little over. 3.5 years, I've seen the disdain that our administrator has towards our drain commissioner. I've always thought it was inappropriate. And for now, we're going to decide that the drain commissioner has to go plead his case to, well, not even going to go plead it, won't even be able to plead his case to the county administrator because it's not even going to go that way. That was shameful. We need to do better than that. The county commissioner, the drain commissioner and JDOT have different focuses. And to think that you can just say, well, move out of your office where you're close to the city and records, move out to the JDOT facility and use their engineers, that's not a solution. JDOT works under Act 511, wrong number. Anyway, works out of that money, so that's for roads. So their priority is going to be for the roads, not for engineers to assist the drain commissioner. Different focus. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out a way to bring this back.
Thank you. Commissioner Duckham, last time.
This is, speaking on the emergency medical dispatch, it isn't, I don't support it. I don't have my questions answered. Okay? I'm hearing shortage of employees on Huron Valley, so I don't know if we spend $1 million here in the county going to a different dispatch type, if it's going to help anything. We were told that the interface would be very helpful. I would think that we want to try that first. And the 800 radio system, I don't have an answer on that. Can we have them here on Valley talk directly to you once the dispatch is there? I don't know that. And if they're not, maybe they can. And that would be better yet. You could talk directly to them. And there may be better solutions than just throwing $1 million, adding $1 million to our budget. And once it gets there, it's forever. And it's your tax dollar too. I want it to work. I want to work with you. I just need questions answered that I don't have the answers for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee member comments? Now, just to clarify, the general government meeting's gonna start 10 minutes late since we are, who did? Oh, sorry, Ray, or Rodney, jeez, oh, Pete.
That's okay, I'm just kind of a small person sits down here. I have one question, and I want to really kind of ask the fellows from 911. I've been around for, I don't know, a couple days. Back when 911 started here in Jackson County, we were one of the #1 agencies, and everyone came here to model their 911 dispatch after us. I thought Mr. Tuttle did a great job putting that together. We used to take and dispatch GEMS. I don't know how many of you remember Jackson Emergency Medical Service and basic ambulance that was here locally. What happened? How did we lose that ability to dispatch ambulances? I'd like to challenge you to answer that question. Mr. Woodham.
Jackson County went automatic life support, or advanced life support, ALS, requiring the pushing of intercardiac medications and things. And again, we put our dispatching evaluation on medical calls to HVA. And the delay is getting them to finish and then send us back. Where if we were EMD, we would be making those calls and sending rescue right away with no delay of 2 to 5 minutes between here and Ann Arbor.
Point made. Jackson Emergency Medical Services at that point in time was advanced life support and did the same thing through medical control. Am I not correct?
Correct, but their dispatch was local.
If we're gonna continue, could you approach the microphone?
When GEMS first come to town, they took over from Transport and Horn Vincent. They brought ALS into the picture. It was not a mandate yet for the county, because we had a lot of BLS ambulances coming in from Albion, Lenawee, and so on.
Stockbridge, yeah.
Eventually, the county couldn't afford to go EMD, and it meant, based on the recommendation of the Medical Control Board, that the medical calls be evaluated by the higher trained level. And that was HVA because they had medics in dispatch.
So our EMD dispatchers will ultimately be paramedics.
No. But what they'll do is they'll have a high enough level of training to qualify our dispatch center as emergency medical dispatch. And we can do the same question process that HVA is doing for us at a delay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more committee member comments. Meeting's adjourned.